so we need to talk about the reality here. And again, there is a lot of funding and a lot of energy going into telling a different story, especially on ideological news outlets and online. But the simple facts and the simple reality are right here staring us in the face, including the fact that I can safely walk my dog to the Capitol today in a way that you couldn't do when we all got here.
And now we're seeing in Washington, D.C. Actually, the Washington Post yesterday reported that there was a sharp rise over the past year in Washington, D.C., with homicide shootings and armed carjackings really rattling the capital of America.
According to Metropolitan Police Department data, violent crime is up 39% this year, with homicide seeing a 28% increase and sexual abuse up 6%. Meanwhile, property crime is also seeing a major increase. Total theft up 27%, while motor vehicle theft is up 110%.
The head of the D.C. Police Union telling Congress the district is in a self-made crime crisis.
I think it's important to recognize where people are at, too. The country's been through a lot. Families have been through a lot. And just because a number on a page looks good doesn't mean people can feel it. Anybody who's been in a relationship knows that if somebody's not feeling great, the first thing you say to them is not, you should be feeling better than you are, right? Stop not feeling it. So, look, we've been through a lot as a country. Having said that, we're also achieving a lot as a country. And while there is a very well-funded noise machine trying to poke holes in those achievements, trying to talk down the economy and all of the things America has done, I think it reflects well on the president that the American people, under his leadership, and the American economy under his leadership, have added so many jobs, including, importantly, in areas like manufacturing.
This is interesting. Just 13% of Americans say they've gotten better financially since the president took office.
I mean, I say it's unfortunate that some people try to peddle a story for, of nostalgia for something that just wasn't true. I say that, look at the numbers, right? The numbers don't lie.
The struggle is real for Americans who have been experiencing rising grocery prices for years.
Everything has gotten more and more and more expensive.
My gosh, do I have a coupon?
A new report from the Wall Street Journal shows $100 at the grocery store just doesn't go as far as it did 5 years ago. Today, that same grocery list costs 36.5% more.
65 to 70 pounds of food that these people are receiving, and it's all in response to these rising grocery costs.
For whatever reason, there's a cohort of the American people, and I can't psychoanalyze them entirely, but I've got to believe part of that is that he does appeal to their fears, to their anger, to their sense that somehow they've been wronged, and rather than deal with the core inequities in our system, he finds a villain. And the villain happens to be people who don't look like his base, who speak with an accent, who come from somewhere else. This is really a question about who we are as Americans. We are a nation of immigrants, but what Donald Trump is trying to do, in the name of his own political expediency, is to normalize bigotry again, to make it okay to hold those bigoted views and to try to motivate people to act on the worst instincts that they all carry inside them. And unfortunately, what he's doing is deciding that that's going to be the focus of his campaign.
Would you allow these cities to ignore the federal law regarding the reporting of illegal immigrants and, in fact, provide sanctuary to these immigrants?
The reason the cities ignore the federal law is the fact that there is no funding at the federal level to provide for the kind of enforcement at the federal level you need. Pick up the New York Times today. There's a city not far across the river from my state that imposed similar sanctions. And what they found out is, as a consequence of that, their city went in the dumps, in the dumpster. Stores started closing. Everything started to happen. And they changed the policy. Part of the problem is you have to have a federal government that can enforce laws. This administration has been fundamentally derelict in not funding any of the requirements that are needed even to enforce the existing law.
So, Senator Biden, yes or no, would you allow the cities to ignore the federal law?
No.
The fact that the American people elected him in the first place because he has the wisdom, the judgment, and the temperament to take on difficult, complex situations like the one that we're facing in the Middle East. And we believe that stands in stark contrast to Donald Trump, who we saw the way that he governed and we see the way that he's campaigning, and he is not demonstrating the temperament, the judgment, the wherewithal to do anything like handle situations like this, whether it's abroad or here at home. And so that is a contrast that we're going to present to the American people every single day between now and November.
I guess I should clear my mind here a little bit and not say what I'm really thinking.
I think it stands in stark contrast to the lack of fundraising that you see out of the Trump campaign. But as important is how they are raising it. He's down in Mar-a-Lago tonight with a bunch of billionaires, people like John Paulson, who not only wants to cut Social Security, but he's famous for, as a hedge funder, rooting against the American economy, betting against the American economy. So I guess it's no surprise that he's investing in somebody like Donald Trump, who's rooting for the economy to crash. But the whole lot of them is a bunch of billionaires, scammers, extremists, and racists.
You can have another Jasmine Crockett or another Maxwell Frost or Eric Swalwell or whoever it is that you really feel inspired by.
You're a member of the judiciary. Do you believe the president right now has been an agent of the Russians?
Yes, I think there's more evidence than he is. Yes, and I think all the arrows point in that direction, and I haven't seen a single piece of evidence that he's not.
Lawrence, Donald Trump is a legal terrorist. It's an abuse of power to remove an ambassador for political reasons because you don't like what they're doing, period.
Miller won't make. Heard from him on this. If he feels so strongly, why isn't the president out there talking about
You
this?
saw his statement after
I
the
read a
Prime
paper
Minister's call with the Prime Minister, and he will continue to talk to the American people and the members of Congress about what we're doing and what we're not doing.
And I love your ears.